Apple pie is all about.
I certainly hope you've enjoyed our discussion today on the daddy level. I pray
Welcome to the Orange Peel Podcast, where we peel the covers off juicy hidden truths. In this podcast, we will discuss one of the most devastating health diagnoses anyone can receive: cancer.
That's a challenge. You know, we don't know it. We take it for granted if you haven't been there. But, you know, cancer will present you with a blank slate. I mean, nothing.
No eyebrows, no eyelashes,
No,
no
nothing.
hair.
No, you just a blank slate, and you have to, then you value the, you know, the tuning that God had put into your DNA, the facial features, you know, the hair strategically placed. You find out how important that is, how that adds depth to who you are, you know, that gives you a certain look. And it's phenomenal what you learn about life and yourself during cancer. And so,
You know, earlier he said people didn't talk about it.
Mhm.
At one time in the early days, I think because it was a disgrace, it was something to be ashamed or embarrassed by. But the value of the way you approached it is by speaking out, you were able to give other people help through your support group, which in turn, I'm sure they helped others. So that's
Yes.
beautiful that you told the story of the redeemed rather than keeping it to yourself.
well, I may not have approached it totally the way it's supposed to be approached, but that's really what I did.
I don't think there's a rule book out there.
No, I don't think so.
You know,
And you did pretty good.
well, you know, sometimes I don't think I do enough, but I just learned that, you know, everybody says you ought to write a book, you ought to write. I said, people don't read. You know, you got to be in it, and you need it talked to you, you need it told to you, you need to hear it. And we have 5 senses, and we all learn at different level from the different senses. But, you know, some people are just strictly auditory. You know, some of them learn by reading and auditory. So you need to offer the combination. So I supported, one of our members wrote her book, and she did well with it, but I just haven't seen any cancer books on the bestseller list. So I personally am not going to write one. But
Well, you're writing one right now.
look, but I agreed to this because this was a different approach, and this goes back to what I was saying about some people need to hear it. They can listen to it better than they will read it, but the information just needs to get there. And you know, for me, what I really would like to know that we're doing here is that if somebody gets a diagnosis, if they catch this podcast, they could understand that it's a period of time. They need to get a prognosis and a scope of what the treatment is going to be, and get a plan to support yourself. Look at your current life and what you're doing and where you need support to continue this, along with the new things that you're going to have to do to get through cancer. And sometimes you don't hear that from the doctors because you're hearing other information and you don't know where to find a support group. But hopefully this podcast will at least say that much. If you get a diagnosis, examine where you are in your current life, what needs to be supported to continue this life, even if it means go live with somebody or come have somebody live with you, whatever it takes for you to continue. If you have to take time off from work because you just physically can't work, see if you can't negotiate that, but get a plan for your own support to move forward. And hopefully if you have a prayer life, you're going to pray for guidance to critique that, but you're going to have a rough draft of how to go forward.
Those are great examples of what needs to be done. I think treating it should have many dimensions. And you mentioned earlier about exercise. So diet and exercise, did that play a role in your healing?
Yes, my doctors were relentless. They were trying to make me understand, like I was trying to tell them who I was to my family, and I kept reiterating that, and they kept coming back at me, namely my primary team lead. He said to me, and he said, you have to understand, Sumatra, that cancer is fought at the cellular level. You have got to know that this cancer is basically a mutated cell that your own body's defense system could not ward off. And it multiplied rapidly, and it formed into cancer. He said, we have a lot of enemies in the body daily. And if your immune system is strong and you're doing what you need to do, you have good nutrition and health, and you don't have a whole lot of underlying conditions, the body's going to take care of itself. But when it gets to be that the body is not in its best state of health, the immune system is not strong, you're going to have mutations that break through the barriers that God has built in for us, and the body is going to malfunction. That's basically cancer. And so he kept telling me the best thing I could do was to deliver rich, oxygenated, nutritious blood to every cell of my body.
Oxygenated blood to every cell.
Every cell. And I'm like, okay, what am I doing? He said, you are walking, you are exercising. You need a strong, robust blood cell to fight along with the chemicals to recover from this cancer. I said, okay. Now, I got chicken sometimes. I was in pain, and I didn't want to do what I was told. I was really trying to get them to give me an excuse, but they didn't buy it. They sent me right back out to the, parks or wherever I could get the exercise. But I internalized this training and this thinking so much so that when later on I got that training with my initial breast cancer diagnosis and surgery. But about 9 years after that, I had improved my health enough to get my double mastectomy. So in doing that, I had to employ some of those things to get my health strong enough to take on the surgery for the reconstruction, because that was 14 hours of surgery for me, and it was 6 different procedures. The first one being that 14-hour day, and I had to have the health to do it, but I walked and I exercised and I lost weight, and I got my diabetes under control, which gave me a better odds of surviving that part. But I've incorporated exercise and into my life since then, and I understand that I need to keep the mobility, the circulation, the rich oxygenated blood. I had to make that part of lifestyle. And my doctor hadn't made me understand that, I would have never done that. That's why I'm saying the best thing that God did for me was to give me cancer, because it made me accountable, it made me in tune, it made me appreciate all the things that he does when he developed the body, when he created us. Most of everything we need, we have in us. We just don't know it.
Yes.
We don't do right by it. But he gave me an opportunity to learn that he had done all of this, most of it already. I just needed to retune into it and get down to it and dig within and, pull out what he had already put there, or realize what he had put there and use it. So I don't know, but I'm all over the place.
Yeah. That's wonderful. And as a matter of fact, I've just got to put Greta on TV here. I mean, you're resonating with her because not long after we got married, Greta took a special interest in healthy living.
Okay.
And as a matter of fact, what people need to understand is that lifestyle has more to do with health and disease than anything else.
Yes.
And so I'm blessed. I had a wife who got into health foods, got into exercise. At one time, she was, could have been an aerobic expert. And we got into hiking. So our family has been into exercise and healthy eating since we've gotten married.
Okay.
And I think that we've lived fairly healthy lives because of her interest. So I know I'm embarrassing her, but
no,
but I got to tell you, Joe, her brother, he would come to visit us or would let us know he's coming to visit, and he knew we were into this kind of odd eating. Mm-hmm. And he says, "Look, I'm coming, and I'm not going to be served any tree bark, okay?"
Okay. Oh, we look for some food.
Yeah. I want steaks. I want chicken.
I understand. I do. What is it? Protein and vegetables. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I like my meat protein. I would do plant protein, but it just don't stay with me as long. Yeah. So, but
yeah. And it's not that meat's bad. It's like everything has to be done in moderation.
Yes.
And I think that's one thing she taught me. You have to do it in moderation. Yeah.
Well, I tell you, I did not know that you were into all of this healthy stuff, but I like it.
Well, I think it's important, and I think that one of the things we all grew up with was the heavy gravies and starches, mm-hmm. and they helped us survive. They helped our parents survive. Mm-hmm. But, as you grow and learn better, you do better. And so we've certainly understood over time that food choices matter.
Well, at least you didn't have to get cancer to do all of that.
I've been blessed and thankful and grateful, but
yes.
We are very grateful for you who are so open and willing to
yes.
share your experience with us, because this is how we learn. This is how we learn how to relate to others in your situation. And you have been a champion in that you have been so open and willing to share details that most people won't. But in the sharing, we all learn, we grow, and you will probably have helped many people avoid cancer with your courage.
I hope so. And I don't know how to prevent it, but if you just take heed to the body, you probably are avoiding it.
Well, you're increasing your chances of not getting it.
Yes.
It's not a guarantee.
No.
But you move the odds into your favor.
Yeah, because I don't understand childhood cancers, and there was a period during my activities and stuff, people were trying to, it's a curse from God. I'm like, I don't know. I can't agree with you. You're entitled to your opinion, but the perspective, I just couldn't understand. I'm like, well, how do you explain a child with cancer?
Well,
What did they do?
I think Greta's introduction talked about it.
Yes.
It's this environment we live in. Our environment is becoming more and more polluted, and we're exposed. How many chemicals did you say? 160?
160.
160 chemicals that we might possibly encounter in a basic day of our life. Mm-hmm. And then, you never can tell what combinations of those chemicals will come together and create deleterious impacts. There's so many factors in the environment that work against our health that nobody can isolate it, can figure it out. I think that's what happens to children. I think they encounter things that we may never be able to trace. This is my opinion. And of course, sometimes they inherit things from their parents.
Yes.
And so there's so many things I think that lead to all kinds of illnesses, not just cancer, but other problems as well. Yeah. So I don't see it as a curse from God. I see it as a curse from man.
Well,
it's what we've done to our world.
Yes, and that's what I think personally, is that when I was when I was in the midst of my surviving, when I hear those type things, I just had to take a deep breath and I respond that we're gonna agree to disagree. I respect your opinion, but at that time, I just didn't feel like defending my stance with God, and you didn't know who I was or where I was, my faith or anything. But I could see that that person was in pain, and they needed to blame this on somebody, this occurrence in their life, and that's a part of the disease of the mindset and the ideas and the thinking that go with it. And that was one of the things that came out of the exercise. For me, my daily routine when I was in treatment was I would get up and get my exercise out of the way in the morning. That was my time to focus, me and God, to plan my day. I asked him what he had for me that day. This is what I thought was on the agenda. And, if I was challenged by another round of chemo and I was having neuropathy real bad, I was just asking him that, I could go through the whole session, not have to have it interrupted, repeated. I didn't want to do anything over. Just different days I had different things, but I got myself up and I might go to the park and walk 2 miles. Give myself about 30 minutes, walk and come back, shower, get my son to school, make sure my husband had breakfast, and then all his meds were laid out, and then I was off to the office because I had to go to work, and then I pick my son up and I'd come back and I have already planned out dinner, but I was moving all day, so all of that was exercise, and I knew that was working to my good, but I had purpose, and I was moving toward my goal of getting better and getting past this. And so I was making sure that I gave my family the food that now I was being introduced to, eating better, eating healthier. And then when I couldn't do it, I allowed, and I just asked God to bless us, because my husband was who he was, and he was a bit more stubborn about some of his eating habits. Even in his illness, he was stubborn about what he wanted. So, I just asked God to bless us, and, I kept going, but I kept trying to move us in a positive direction overall.
So what did a healthy diet look like for you as a cancer patient?
At the time, I didn't understand the proteins and the muscle preservation for the exterior experience, because a lot of times in cancer, you have extreme weight loss, inability to digest food, to intake food, to handle the aroma of food, just the whole system is off. But I was told to avoid sugars, that cancer loves sugars, and so I needed to remove as much sugar from my diet. Now, I was diabetic, and later on in my cancer journey, in my recovery, I learned that the other foods are sugars too. The carbs are turned into sugars. But at the beginning, it was basically meats and vegetables. But I didn't term it as protein. I didn't count the proteins like I do now. But it was just basically meats and vegetables, and for me to avoid the sweets and unnecessary sweets like soft drinks and other ice creams and whatever, candy. The obvious sweets I was told to avoid, because that supported cancer, that helped cancer to metastasize and grow within the body, because it fed off of sugars. And so I got that, and that's the kind of diet that I went on for me, and it was basically vegetables, it was some carbs, and then meats. But later on, I learned that my body just doesn't understand what to do with the sugar in any format, a carb or regular sugar. So I need to avoid the carbs too. But,
so you paid attention to your body.
Yeah, well, I had education from the doctors, and they're trying to tell me, this diabetes is more than just obvious sugars. Yeah. You need to know what happens to it when you put it in your body. Your body doesn't function properly, so it doesn't know what to do. It thinks all of it's sugar. It's going to process it.
So I got to share this. I didn't come into this podcast intended to share this, but I have I can't raise my sleeve, but I have a monitor on my arm.
Okay.
And I'm pre-diabetic. I'm not diabetic.
Oh,
I'm pre-diabetic. But I wanted to see what was affecting my glucose.
Mm-hmm.
And you're talking about something that is revealing. So, it connects to my smartphone. So when I eat something, I can actually watch my glucose rise.
Mm-hmm.
And it is amazing the things that affect your glucose levels that you wouldn't think of.
Yes.
And so your point is a very good point. It takes education
And
to eat right,
yes.
and to live right, and to exercise right.
Yes.
It takes education to serve God right.
Yes.
And so, we need education in all things if we're going to live healthy and spiritually.
But that's it. It's ongoing. Every day you're learning.
Yes.
And if you tune out, if you think that you've gotten over cancer and it's done, if you don't maintain a situation that doesn't promote another occurrence, because there's genetically a predisposure to a reoccurrence of certain cancers. But really, I think all cancers, you have a chance of getting it if you've gotten it before. So you have to be in the mindset that I don't want to create incubator or situation that it'll come back easier.
Well, I like the way you put it. Your body becomes an incubator for cancer
Yeah.
if you don't treat it right.
And my doctors kept drilling that in my head. They just kept saying, you got to keep going. And you're not qualified for the reconstruction because you got too many other line situations. We only did what was necessary. That's all we could work on right now is what was necessary. You said you wanted to live, we want you to live, we want to help you, but we're not doing any optional stuff. Reconstruction was optional. I had to earn that. I had to work at that and work to get to it. And so I fight daily with the same thing, but I'm aging. And now they have to explain to me, well, Sumatra, you're older. Okay, I said, well, I'm doing everything that you told me, and this ain't working. Well, you older. And they're making me understand. I'm like, I didn't have all these blood pressure problems. Look, you get older, you need some blood pressure help.
Things change. Yeah.
So now they're explaining to me, to be fair to myself, but okay, I'm overboard. But I'm holding them to their word, and I'm like, okay, but they said at that age, that was what we were prescribing. Now you got these conditions. This is what we're talking about now. So you got to stay with the medical care and stay on top of it. And you got to understand the body's changing every day, so it's decreasing.
You were talking about sometimes in our culture, in Black culture, we don't talk about disease. We also talk about how to eat right.
No.
And it makes you almost like a pariah. It makes you weird if you are into healthy eating. We know this because we're into healthy eating. And so we find ourselves in settings sometimes where, people looking crooked at you the way you eat. But I think that conversation needs to be had more because, I love soul food.
Yeah.
And so, I'm not knocking the taste and the pleasure you get from it, but we need to be aware of what it's doing to our bodies.
Yes.
And it's like I was saying about this glucose monitor I have stuck in my arm. I had these snacks at home that I love. It's like harmless snacks. They were nuts and a few dry bananas and stuff. I threw this stuff in my mouth, and I looked at my phone, and my my glucose spiked. It just
The dried fruit.
yeah, dried fruit. So who would have thought that? Yeah.
Well, I thought that trail mix was good for me.
Yeah.
I did.
Me too, yeah.
My doctor just told me, she said, I need you on pumpkin seeds. I said, pumpkin seeds? She said, do the research. I need you on pumpkin seeds. So now I'm on the mad hunt. I don't do trail mix. I don't do the cashews because they have sugar in them. I do pecans, but the ruling is out on that. They prefer almonds, walnuts,
yes.
and pumpkin seeds. So now I'm on pepitas. that's my little snack, go-to snack. I found them. And so but you just keep getting educated. But my doctors are so supportive. And during my cancer diagnosis, my doctors told me that we know better, and now we got to do better. And that's when they were talking to me about my diet and the exercise and the soul food.
Yeah.
You can't eat that.
Yeah, and exercise, we can't leave out the importance of that. I have an expression I use. Exercise is motion lotion.
Okay.
It actually lubricates your joints
Yes.
and makes the body work well. Your lymph system cannot work properly if you don't move.
No.
And sedentary living is a poison.
Yes.
And I didn't understand that.
To
when I was
aging
younger.
too.
Yeah,
It's a poison to aging, and it actually speeds up the aging process.
it does. It does. And once again, in our communities, we don't talk about that.
Well, even when you talk about it, I've noticed I've got a lot of different friends, and I work with a lot of different people, but I run around a lot, and it's on purpose because I want to get the activity in my day. I don't just want to dedicate to exercise. I make intentional moves, and like Saturday I was at U of H. I work with the youth group, and the co-advisor, she said, "Ms. Harvey, you trying to get extra steps in, you going all over." I said, "You know what I'm doing." I said, "You've been around me 17 years. She said, "I'm going to go out to be like you." I said, "Okay, but you still headed to the elevator, but I'm going up the stairs, but I just incorporate more exercise into my day."
In your day, yeah.
But my friends have been around me. They've been on this journey with me prior to cancer, since cancer, and they are just sedentary people. But now they're looking at us, we're all in the same age group, and they like, I'm like, you gotta make up your mind.
Well, we have to decide not to be slaves to our DNA.
Yeah.
And the best way to do that is to exercise, to eat well, and we can't prevent all disease. We can't escape all of it, but we can certainly give our bodies a head start in the right direction.
Well, that's what I just told them. I said, you're gonna have to decide. Well, I want to hang out with you. I say, no, you probably don't. I said, because you're gonna be tired on lap number 2. I might have 15 stops in the day. We're not gonna do that because you're not gonna interrupt the things that I've agreed to do. So let me come by and check on you as part of one of my stops. And a friend of mine, she said, "You put me on a timer." I said, "I got an appointment." I said, "I'm gonna chit chat with you. You 77, you fully retired, you're at home. We good."
Yeah.
But I got some stuff I agreed to do. I said, "But you can't keep up with me because you don't want to."
Yeah. You know what? And you build it into your day. You build exercise and
lifestyle that leads to health into your day. We try to do the same thing. For example, we don't try to park close.
Okay.
When we go shopping, we always park way out.
Yes.
Those steps add up.
Yes.
Unless it's
Look
raining,
at
of course.
things, that you could do.
Yeah, and then when I was working before I retired, I worked in hospitals, and I would always take the stairs if it was not more than 6 floors up.
Okay. Let's see. I don't even count them, but it depends on. I have some heart conditions, but I push myself to do the stairs because I know that's my cardio.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking for a certain kind of exercise to support the deficiencies in my body or the things that are not performing as they should. So I've learned, different exercises, but my least expensive go-to is walking.
Yes.
Just walk.
Walking is, honestly, I think that is the golden exercise, is walking.
I'm just like, I tell my doctors, I say, look, I do about 22 miles a week. I do Zumba twice a week, and I build those 20 or 22 miles in my daily activity.
Yeah.
When I get Zumba, I might have a 6-mile day.
yeah.
Okay, so we boost it up. But if I don't get that, I'm doing it every day. And I'm like, I'm doing all of that, but I'm taking all this medicine. And, I'm trying to kill this medicine. Because it's expensive, but we won't talk
Yeah,
about
well,
that.
let's not even go there.
Yeah, if you want to go broke fast, have health problems.
Yes.
Exactly.
I advised my kids, I said, if you want to protect your wealth, stay well.
Yes.
Because the healthcare system has bankrupted.
This ends the second of 4 segments of the Big C. Sumatra Harvey telling her story of her battle with and victory over breast cancer in the midst of life's storms. The juicy truths she is squeezing out are good for the soul, so be sure to catch the next segment. We end each segment with a poem written by a cancer patient. The poem selected for this segment is a warning from a dying cancer patient to stop smoking cigarettes so you don't end up with lung cancer.
A smoker's warning, written by an anonymous author. How are you? My name is Guy. I'm sorry to say that I'm going to die. We're not sure how, when, or where. If you read this, I hope you care. Not for me, but for you. You see, I smoked. Perhaps you do too. Now I'm in pain and I'm dying. All I'll leave is my daughter crying.
I certainly hope you've enjoyed